Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Welcome po sa Mahardika Video Lecture Series. At sa ating unang episode ay tatalakayin natin ang history ng BARM at ang kanyang sistema ng paggogobyerno. Ito po ay magandang mapanood ninyo una bago yung ibang mga video sa series na ito. So, simulan natin ang pag-aaral ng BARM by first having a review or balik-tanaw doon sa ating mga inaral dati, no, sa Araling Panlipunan or sa Sibika at Kultura. So, ang bansang Pilipinas ay nahahati sa 17 no, na regions. At ito ay naka-spread out sa Luzon, Visayas, at Mindanao. So, sa Luzon, meron tayong Cordillera Administrative Region, Rehiyon ng Ilocos, which is Region 1, Cagayan Valley, Region 2, Central Luzon, na Region 3, at yung dating Region 4, dati na Southern Tagalog Region, ay nahati no, sa Region 4A, which is Calabarzon, and yung Mimaropa, which is Region 4B. And then we have Region 5 na Bicol Region. And kasama po sa considered na region ay ang National Capital Region na tinatawag nating Maynila, no? Which is composed of different cities. Sa Visayas naman, meron tayong, of course, yung Region 6 na itong Western Visayas, itong Aklan, Iloilo, no, na area. And then Region 7, which is yung Cebu, Bohol, and Eastern Visayas, yung Samar Leyte area na Region 8. And then coming to Mindanao, dyan ang Region 9, which is the Zamboanga Peninsula, Region 10, which is Northern Mindanao, yung Bukidnon, Misor, Lanao del Norte area. And then Region 11, the Davao provinces, and Caraga, Region 13, and yung Bangsamoro region, BARM, and yung Soxargen, no? Okay, so ang provide sa constitution natin na magkakaroon ng autonomy ay yung Cordillera Administrative Region at ang Bangsamoro. So, bago tayo pumunta sa usaping autonomy ng Bangsamoro, magandang tingnan muna natin kung ano yung history or nakaraan, no, ng Bangsamoro people or the Muslim Mindanao region. So even before the 1900s, no, yung mga Bangsamoro, iba-ibang tribo ng Bangsamoro sa iba-ibang panig, no, meron sa Maguindanao, sa Lanao, and then Sulu, Basilan, sila ay nagre-resist na ng colonization and attempts at subjugation ng ibang lahi. No, ito man ay mapa Espanyol, Dutch, Americans. But ito ay mga maliliitang resistance sa kani-kanilang mga teritoryo. And it was resistance na nakaugat, no, doon sa mahabang panahon na ng sariling paggogobyerno ng iba-ibang tribong Bangsamoro. So, they already had their own political system, no? Pero it was not until the founding of the Mindanao Independence Movement na nagkaroon ng ganong consciousness na itong iba-ibang tribong Bangsamoro, which are traditionally Muslim, ay merong common na experience at common na history and heritage. And so nabuo yung Mindanao Independence Movement sa pamumuno ni Dato' Udtog Matalam, no? Who was then heading the undivided Cotabato Empire. And then, in 1968, nangyari nga yung Jabida Massacre, where then Tausug youths from Sulu were recruited, no? And they were subjected to training sa Corregidor Island. But then they realized what the training was for, and it was to attack Sabah. So they resisted, and the backlash resulted in the killing of those Tausug youths, and which was known later or termed later as the Jabida Massacre. So this was the turning point, no, in the struggle of the Bangsamoro, and resulted in the founding of the Moro National Liberation Front, headed by its founding chairman, Prof. Nur Miswari. So there were clashes between the MNLF and the government forces, and it was in 1976 when the government of Libya, headed by its then leader Muammar Gaddafi, sought to intervene, no, in this matter. The talks between the MNLF and the government resulted in the signing of the Tripoli Agreement in 1976. And under the governance of then President Ferdinand Marcos, nagkaroon ng issuance, no, batas under his legislative authority during martial law, called the PD 1628, which was already paving the way for the autonomy of Muslims in two areas. One was in Western Mindanao and the other one in Central Mindanao. Okay. And in 1986, President Marcos was deposed, and we had a new government under President Cory Aquino, and it was also the time when the Philippine Constitution was starting to get drafted by the Constitutional Convention. The ratification of the Constitution ay noong 1987. Okay, 1987. And before that, President Cory Aquino actually visited Sulu, no, in 1986. So, the Aquino presidency sought further negotiations with the MNLF, and this culminated with the Jeddah Accord in 1987. So, balikan lang natin yung nasa Philippine Constitution. It allowed for the establishment of autonomous regions, one in the Cordilleras and another one in Muslim Mindanao. And pursuant to this constitutional provision, napasa nga yung RA 6734 noong 1989, which was the original organic law of the ARMM, or the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. So the talks continued between the MNLF and the GPH, and this culminated in the final peace agreement of 1996. And pursuant to this, another law was passed, RA 9054, which now had a basis in the peace agreement and amended certain provisions of RA 6734. So what we previously know as the ARMM is based on this amended law, RA 9054. So in all of this, a new revolutionary group was being formed called the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. Okay, meanwhile, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front was waging war. The government was also seeking negotiations with them, and it first started in 1997 and up to 98, and then 2001. They agreed mostly on the process of talking. So all of this ceasefire agreement, agreement on peace, a general framework on intent, and agreement on general framework on the resumption of the peace talks in 2001. And this came in the aftermath of the all-out war policy of the Estrada administration. And then back in 2008, we had the Memorandum of Agreement on Ancestral Domain, which was struck down by the Supreme Court, which resulted in clashes once again on the ground. So, but after that, negotiations resumed under President Noynoy Aquino, and this resulted in another round, and which was marked by the declaration of continuity for peace negotiations. And the breakthrough actually of this renewed round of talks is the signing of the GPH-MILF decision points on principles in 2012. So tingnan natin, doon pa lang sa decision points, wala pa tayo sa agreement, just decision points on the principles that will be tackled. They were already talking about the form of government and the fact that basic rights will still be enjoyed within the region, and that the right to express political opinion and pursue democratic political aspirations would still be assured, and the right of women to meaningful political participation would likewise be guaranteed. So, decision points on principles pa lang, it was already clear to the parties that this entity that will be formed to replace the ARMM would still be a democratic entity. Okay, and then several months after the signing of the decision points of principles, the parties signed the framework agreement on the Bangsamoro on October 15, 2012. So as we can see in this picture on the left side, we have now MP Hagar Iqbal shaking hands with the then chief negotiator of the Philippine government, Marvic Leonen, and this signing was witnessed by their principals on the side of MP Hagar Iqbal, now Chief Minister Ahod Balawag Ibrahim, and then on the part of the government we have former President Pinoy, Noynoy Aquino, and OPAP advisor for the peace process, Madam Ging Dallas, and they were facilitated this entire negotiation process was facilitated by the Malaysian third-party facilitator. So yung framework agreement, it had various annexes, and which formed part and parcel of this agreement. So annexes on transitional arrangements, revenue generation, power sharing, annex on normalization, and on Bangsamoro waters. So some of these agreements actually, some of these annexes actually came a bit later than the framework agreement, but at any rate, they formed part of the comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro, which I will share on the next slide. But meanwhile, tingnan muna natin yung laman ng framework agreement on the Bangsamoro when it comes to the system of government. So again, this was October 2012 in the framework agreement. So sabi dito, number 2, the government of the Bangsamoro shall have a ministerial form. So before, the parties were using the term ministerial, but now we understand it to mean na parliamentary form of government. So again, the agreement states that the parties agree to entrench an electoral system suitable to a ministerial form of government, and that the electoral system shall allow democratic participation. Ayan, democratic participation, which would mean regular elections. Ensure accountability of public officers, primarily to their constituents. So, isang sistema kung saan may pananagutan ang mga public officers or public servants sa kanilang mga nasasakupan, and encourage the formation of genuinely principled political parties. So, i-encourage yung pag-form ng mga political parties na na-form ng naayon sa prinsipyo. At ang sabi din dito, yung sistemang ito ng election ay dapat ilagay sa Bangsamoro Basic Law, which is now the Bangsamoro Organic Law, and yung operationalization or implementation nito ay through another law na ang magpapasa naman ay ang Bangsamoro government na dapat correlated or aligned with national laws. So, kaya tayo nagkaroon ng Bangsamoro Electoral Code. So, punta tayo sa comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro. So, kanina nabagit ko na nagkaroon ng decision points on principles ng February 2012, and then framework agreement naman ng October 2012 ulit. And then after around 2 years of sustained negotiations, napirmahan nga ng GPH at ng MILF yun namang comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro. So basically, it's a more detailed and comprehensive, mas detalyado at mas malawak na agreement. And ito ay nagbi-build upon lamang dun sa framework agreement on the Bangsamoro. So, yung FAB, framework agreement on the Bangsamoro, more in general, it just lays the groundwork or the framework. Tapos, unti-unting nilagyan ng laman hanggang sa mabuo yung comprehensive agreement. So, ang sabi sa CAB ay kasama or part and parcel ng comprehensive agreement yung body of the CAB, pati yung various agreements na napirmahan, mga guidelines, terms of reference ng iba-ibang peace mechanism, mga joint statement, and mga annexes na napirmahan at in-acknowledge ng mga partido, both GPH and MILF. So, dito sa CAB, naka-outline yung mismong political structure ng BARM at pati yung transition process mula sa dating ARM papunta sa BARM at iba pang mga aspeto. So, balikan lang natin ng konti ang election-related na mga provision ng CAB, ng Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro, sa part na Principles of Implementation. So, ang sabi doon, working with other groups and sectors, the two parties shall ensure the establishment of a new Bangsamoro political entity, na siya nangang naging BARM, that will protect individual and collective rights and be truly democratic, representative of the diversity of the populace, and accountable to the communities therein. So, ito yung tatlong elemento ng paggogobyerno dito sa bagong nabuong autonomous region. Na ito ay dapat democratic, which means nakabase sa mandato ng taong bayan ang kanilang paninilbihan, which means elections, representative of the diversity of the populace, dapat na re-represent ang iba't ibang tribo, iba't ibang sektor ng populasyon ng BARM, at accountable to the communities or may pananagutan. So dapat iset din kung ano yung mga mekanismo na yon na makakasingil or mananagot yung mga leader ng rehiyon sa mamamayan. So makaraang masign ang Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro noong 2014. It took around 3 years bago mapasa ng Kongreso natin sa national government ang Bangsamoro Organic Law. So just a brief background, ang sabi doon sa agreement ay magfo-form ng Bangsamoro Transition Commission na magdadraft ng Bangsamoro Basic Law. Yun yung dating pangalan bago naging BOL. At nagtrabaho for almost 2 years ang Bangsamoro Transition Commission, and actually naabutan siya nung change ng presidency from Pinoy to the Duterte administration. So nagkaroon ng dalawang batches ng BTC. So finally, na-pass into law noong 2018 ang Bangsamoro Organic Law, at ito ay ino-operationalize na through legislative action ang mga provision ng agreement, yung Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro na sinainan ng government ng Pilipinas through the executive agents at ng MILF, and it establishes the legal framework for governance in the BARM. It defines yung struktura ng paggogobyerno sa region, yung kanyang mga kapangyarihan, at yung relationship with the national government. Okay, so ito yung in a nutshell or summary nung ini-envision na Bangsamoro Society base doon sa mga napirmahang agreement. So, ang relasyon ng national government at ng Bangsamoro region will be an asymmetric relationship, So hindi sila equal, but at the same time hindi rin kapantay ng Bangsamoro ang mga LGU. So it is more than an LGU, It is an autonomous region with expanded powers than an LGU. Kakaroon nga ng ministerial form na sa ngayon ang tawag natin ay parliamentary form. At ito ay democratic or nakabase sa mandato ng nakararaming mga mamamayan ng region. So therefore, election. Ang mga agreements na napirmahan also recognizes na merong isang identity, the Bangsamoro identity na iba din sa Filipino identity at iba din dun sa identity bilang member ng isang tribo or isang komunidad. At nakalatag din sa agreements at na-reflect na ito sa organic law ano-ano yung mga reserved powers ng national government, ano naman yung exclusive na powers na nakaatas lamang sa Bangsamoro government, at ano yung mga kapangyarihan na sinishare nilang dalawa. Nakalatag din sa agreements ang pagpapalakas ng Sharia courts na pwedeng iba pa doon sa currently na naka-provide sa PD 1083 or yung Code of Muslim Personal Laws. Pagpapalakas ng mga institusyon ng hudikatura or ng katarungan, including alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. Pagrespeto sa mga customary rights or yung mga nakagawian, mga tradisyonal na mga sinusunod, mga traditions, customary practices ng mga katutubo. Pagkakaroon ng just and equitable, so yung makatarungan at nararapat na bahagi or parte doon sa mga income na nakukuha from the exploitation of natural resources. And of course, yung respect for basic rights, hindi tumigil na maging isang lipunan na rumirespeto sa karapatan ang Bangsamoro, no? Respeto din sa karapatan ng mga katutubo or mga natibo, pero at the same time may respeto doon sa karapatan ng pagmamay-ari na naka-vest na doon sa mga owners. And itong last ay patungkol sa transitional justice, no, na inacknowledge ng dalawang partido ang pangangailangan na ma-address or matugunan yung mga grievance na mga historical injustices at mga human rights violations na nagsilbing mitsa or nagsilbing fuel doon sa giyera na tinatapos nga, no, nitong peace agreements. So, ang tanong, boboto pa ba ang mga botante ng BARM para sa mga national at lokal na kandidato? At ang sagot natin ay yes, dahil hindi naman humiwalay ang BARM or ang Autonomous Region ng Muslim Mindanao sa Philippines, both sa kanyang teritoryo at sa kanyang gobyerno. So ito ay malinaw na naisaad sa Article 10 na nagsasabi na there shall be created autonomous regions in Muslim Mindanao and in the Cordilleras. So may dalawa, no, na pinayagan na mag-form ng autonomous region. At ito ay consisting of provinces, cities, municipalities, and geographic areas na sharing a common and distinctive historical and cultural heritage. So ito yung kaibahan ng mga autonomous region provided for under Article 10 of the Constitution compared sa mga LGUs natin, no? Ang mga binigyang karapatan na maging autonomous under the Constitution ay may mga residente na merong shared or common and distinctive. So naiiba yung kanilang history and kultura and yung kanilang heritage or yung pinagmulan. But then, kahit na may ganito na pagre-recognize, ay kailangan within the framework of this constitution sila mag-i-exist, no? So wala silang sariling konstitusyon, hindi sila nahihiwalay sa bansang Pilipinas at sa national sovereignty or yung kapangyarihan at yung territorial integrity ng bansang Pilipinas. So walang mahihiwalay, walang magsasarili hanggat ito ang nasa ating konstitusyon or sa ligang batas. Okay, so punta tayo sa mga probisyon ng Bangsamoro Organic Law naman patungkol sa eleksyon. So again, sa Article 4, Section 3 ng ating Bangsamoro Organic Law, inuulit yung nasa FAB at nasa CAB, no, na itong entity na tinatawag na ngayon na Bangsamoro Autonomous Region shall have a democratic political system. So mandato na binigay ng nakararaming botante that enables its citizens to freely engage in political processes within its territorial jurisdiction. So, ang sabi, itong sistema ng politikal sa BARM dapat ma-enable niya or bigyang laya niya yung kanyang mamamayan na mag-participate or makilahok dun sa mga political processes within the region. And ang next sentence naman, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region shall have a parliamentary form of government. So, ayan, unang nating nakita dito, no, na parliamentary form ang gobyerno ng BARM as opposed doon sa term na ginamit sa mga agreements na ministerial. Okay, so parliamentary form, yun na yung malinaw. Sa next section, section 4 of the same article 4, ang sabi naman, the Bangsamoro government shall adopt an electoral system. So inuutusan na yung Bangsamoro government na to adopt an electoral system na una, consistent with national election laws. So wala kang babanggain or i-violate doon sa mga existing na election laws like the Omnibus Election Code, the Automated Elections Law, the Fair Elections Act, etc. And allow democratic participation. So i-allow or bibigyang laya na mag-participate yung mga tao sa eleksyon. Encourage the establishment of genuinely principled political parties. So magkakaroon talaga ng mekanismo para mabuo yung mga political parties na naaayon sa prinsipyo. And ensure accountability or tiyakin na may pananagutan yung mga leader na nakaupo sa taong bayan. So ito yung buong vision for the system of government and elections sa BARM. So parliamentary form, democratic, may rules for accountability. At yung pag-encourage sa political parties. Pero bago yan, baka may tanong tayo on the parliamentary form of government. Kasi mukhang bago ito sa atin. Sige, simulan natin doon sa pagdidistinguish or susuri ng pagkakaiba ng ARMM and the BARMM. Ito ay hindi simpleng pagbabago lamang ng acronym or pagdadagdag ng letra, pero meron talagang mga malalaking pagkakaiba ang dalawang region na ito. So, yung ARM is na buo under RA 9054 amending yung original na organic law ng ARMM, and ito namang BARM ay nabuo under the Bangsamoro Organic Law. Pero ano yung mga pagkakaiba? So unahin natin sa teritoryo. So dun sa previous ARM, ang mga provinces na nakasama ay ang Basilan, Lanao del Sur, yung Undivided Maguindanao, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, and then merong dalawang syudad nakasama, ang Marawi City na nasa Lanao del Sur at Lamitan City na nasa Isabela. Okay. Under the BARM naman ay andoon pa rin ang Basilan, Lanao del Sur, at dahil nahati ang province ng Maguindanao sa dalawa, ay kasama itong dalawang ito sa BARM, Maguindanao del Norte, Maguindanao del Sur. At kasama pa rin ang Tawi-Tawi, Marawi City at Lamitan. So, itong mga probinsyang nabanggit ko ay nag-vote ng yes doon sa plebiscite na kinandak noong 2019 na mapasama sa BARM. Itong kulay green, olive green na nagko-correspond dun sa Sulu, siya ngayon ay blanco at may kulay kasi nadeklara siya na hindi parte ng BARM ng Supreme Court doon sa desisyon nito sa kaso ng Province of Sulu versus Executive Secretary. Ang dahilan ay hindi umano bumoto ng yes ang majority ng mga botante. So ang nanalong boto sa plebisito for the BARM sa Sulu ay no, instead of yes. So may bago tayong nakasama na syudad sa BARM, ang Cotabato City, dahil bumoto ang karamihan ng kanyang mga botante to yes for inclusion in the BARM. Kasama din dito ang Special Geographic Areas, ito yung 63 barangays na nasa sakop ito ng North Cotabato sa iba-ibang munisipyo ng Mitsaya, Pikit, Cabacan, etc. na naisama sa plebisito dahil noong plebisito para sa ARM ay nag-yes sila pero nag-no yung kanilang mother LGU. So ito ngayon ang composition as of September 9, no? 2024. Ito ang mga entities, whether province, city, or geographic area na bumubuo sa BARM. Pero bukod sa teritoryo, may isa pa tayong kailangang pag-ibahin, no? Between the ARM and BARM. At yun nga yung form of government. At paano ini-elect yung mga leader. Paano ang relasyon nila sa isa't isa. So sa ARM, mini-mirror lamang niya, sinasalamin lamang niya kung ano na yung sistemang presidential sa national government. So ang form of government ng ARM ay presidential unitary. Samantalang itong BARM ay parliamentary. So, sino ang ine-elect, no, ng taong bayan sa ARMM? So, under previously ng sistema sa ARMM, binoboto direkta ng mga tao sa balota ang regional governor, ang vice governor, at ang member ng kanilang RLA members na 3, no, bawat distrito. Compared sa BARM na ang iboboto ng mga tao, ang iluluklok sa pwesto ay party representatives, pero ang iboboto ay yung partido, district representatives, at sectoral representatives. So dito pa lang makikita, no, na may malaking pagkakaiba sa parliamentary at presidential form. Sige, ang head or ang pinuno ng regional government sa ARMM ay regional governor at sa BARM naman ay chief minister. Pero again, ang pagkakaiba, si regional governor ay direktang binoboto ng mga botante, samantalang si chief minister ay hindi. Siya ay pinipili at inihahalal ng mga MPs or members of the parliament mula sa kanilang hanay. Okay. Pagdating naman sa budget, dati sa ARMM, ang Kongreso sa national level ang nagpapasya ng budget na para sa ARMM. No? Wala po itong B, no? ARMM under the General Appropriations Act. So kasama sa General Appropriations Act yung budget ng BARM at dinidefend ito ng BARM, no, sa harap ng ating mga mambabatas sa House of Representatives. Meanwhile sa BARM, hindi na kailangan ganon dahil merong tinatawag na block grant, no? Taon-taon or annually, ito ay automatic na nilalaan para sa Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. At ang amount nito ayon sa BOL ay 5% ng total collections ng customs at ng BIR. Okay, so paano naman yung relasyon ng executive and legislative? So nasabi ko nga kanina na sinasalamin lang nung dating ARM yung government sa national, kung kaya't may separation of powers, no? Ang executive na yung regional governor at ang legislative, which is yung RLA, ay magkahiwalay, magkapantay, no? They are independent from each other at may separation of powers. Meanwhile, sa sistemang parlamentaryo, ang executive at ang legislative ay nag-share ng power. Magkasanib. So, dito po muna natin tatapusin ang episode na ito na introduction pa lamang doon sa sistema ng paggogobyerno sa BARM based sa kanyang history at iyong mga nalagdaang agreements. So, stay tuned po or hanapin nyo sa playlist ang next episode na pinamagatang parliamentary system sa BARM. Assalamualaikum.